Like, this won't work for everybody, but my wife is my business partner, and it works for us because we have complements and skill sets. So she's an artist,
right,
and I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So I give her the space to focus on being an artist, and I get to run the business.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes people get too caught up in passion and miss out on opportunities that can afford them.
What's up, y'all? We back with another episode of What They Don't Wanna Hear.
Yeah, we are. We here, man. We Yattaracks.
I'm RhythmintheJuice.
Yeah, today we got a special guest here. We got Mr. Jermaine, the CEO.
Yes, sir.
Of Sydney
Yes, sir.
Appreciate y'all having me. Yeah, glad to be here.
CEO of Sydney Sweets, as you can see, man, we in the bakery right now.
We in the bakery.
We got the sweet treats. Jermaine, tell them about yourself, man.
Yeah, so Sydney Sweets, we are a retail bakery and custom cake shop. We're located in West Hempstead, New York. That's Long Island. My wife and I started this company. We've been in the storefront for 13 years, but we started maybe going on 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really just a passion project that transformed into a platform and a vehicle that's changed my family's life.
I like how you said passion project.
That's really fire. They located right in West Hempstead. This is actually my favorite bakery. Funny enough, I stumbled upon them on social media.
Right.
And I seen these cake slices and I had to come get me one.
Right.
The first one I had was the peach cobbler slice.
The peach
cobbler slice was crazy. When I came here too, it was great hospitality. It was really just nice, man. The cakes is just to die for. You know what I'm saying? I gotta get out here. You got a sweet tooth? Sydney Sweets, it's the spot to be. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, absolutely.
Y'all definitely fit, but y'all don't know. He getting that fat boy Kenny mode and he started going crazy.
I was a little chubby boy growing up.
Yeah, he's a chubby kid. So if he say the snacks are good, the snacks are good. The treats is good.
I used to wear a 14 Husky. You know what I'm saying? All types of stuff.
Everybody don't know about that Husky.
I know about the Husky days. I did have a Husky sweater, Mark Echo, brown jaw.
I used to wear those, but ironically too, my grandmother, she's Guyanese, so she makes all types of pastries.
Right.
She also bakes cakes and stuff like that. So I grew up around black cake, regular pound cake, cheese straw, pine tart, all types of stuff. So
you knew the good stuff.
Yeah, I always had sweets in the house. I think that was why I was always so chunky too. I was always cooking.
Gotta do it to you.
Yeah. Alright, before we get into this great episode, shout out to our sponsors. We got RhythmntheJuice out here. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Jermaine said he wanted the pineapple mango cucumber.
I definitely got a top.
We got two flavors today. We got Paradise pineapple mango strawberry. We got Incredible pineapple mango cucumber. Which one you feeling, Major?
I might need me a cucumber.
Cucumber, John?
That's it.
I'm on Paradise.
Oh, this is definitely tasting fresh, man.
Yeah, that's fresh right there. That's painted me.
I feel alive.
Yeah, definitely put that fruit back in your body.
Sure. Yeah, Jermaine, you're a Queens native.
I'm a Queens native, yeah.
Okay.
I grew up in Jamaica, Queens, Springfield Gardens.
Shots to Jamaica.
Yeah, not too far away.
So
Just a
not
few
too
exits.
far. So this is the backyard.
Yeah.
So while we're proud to be in Long Island. Well, we still rep Queens heavy. My wife is from Queens as well.
Yeah, let's get the money.
We from Queens too.
Word,
so it's full circle.
Man,
you know what I'm saying? Like they said, Queens do get the money.
Yo, man, it's the best borough.
I think so.
So
we got everything. You can come there and find everything. We're the most diverse. We have any food that you need. We got any people that you need.
Right.
Yeah.
Any type of
we
got
culture activities.
You got access to the chaos, but I know y'all from the north side, right?
It's a fact.
Yeah. So it's just you still gotta travel through the slums, but you living in an environment where it's not all chaos. So I think we were blessed to be. I know I was definitely blessed. My parents are from the Bronx, or from uptown.
Yeah.
And they moved. We were young, to give us a better life. And 2 corners away.
Right.
They were slinging crack, but on my block it was safe. So you still had some. Yeah, you had to make the right choices, but you also had some safety in the neighborhood that looked out for you. So I appreciate my Queens upbringing.
I love how you say that. I love how you say that. A lot of people don't know really how to make that choice of what road to go down.
Yeah.
And I tell a lot of people, just being from Queens, I loved it because it gave me the opportunity to have more decisions,
Right,
have
right.
more options, or more so see the different outcomes of people
Yeah.
based on the choices they make.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
how are you able to lean more towards a wholesome choice? Obviously, I'm saying you own your own bakery,
Right.
You, not just own it, but thriving with your bakery and
Yeah.
give it back to your family, like you
No,
said.
it's a great question. So, well, first, I think I'm on a God-ordained mission, right? So,
Okay.
so I know that my life has been touched and called upon by God. So I know that I'm moving and I'm in His favor.
Right.
So that's really that. But then also, I like to give credit to, my parents. My parents definitely. I come from a solid middle class household, hardworking parents.
Right.
My dad worked for MTA, my mom worked for the Board of Education.
Okay.
So they,
Constants, two constants. Yeah.
so they stress education. They held us down, they held us accountable.
Right.
So definitely shout out to my parents. They didn't have, there wasn't no. I didn't have to worry about a meal. I didn't have to worry about, they kept me semi-fresh, so I wasn't getting teased, so at the least. And then when I got old enough, they taught me, work ethic and hard work. So in high school, I had a full-time job.
Wow.
So
high school?
Yeah, in high school. I had a full-time job, since I was doing well,
Full-time in high school?
academically. I was doing well academically, so I was basically done my senior year.
Okay.
So I would work overnights. I didn't have to go to school until 11:30.
Okay.
So I would just work overnights, get a little bit of sleep.
Yeah.
And then, do what I did. Yeah. So, so I had money in my pocket. So I was the freshest kid in the high school, because I had, it wasn't many, unless you was hustling. Unless you was hustling,
Right.
like I had the real legit money.
Yeah.
And not many kids could really, have that work that much. So, so it just,
You felt good putting on them.
I definitely, man.
I split for these kicks, man.
It was a lesson, but but I learned work ethic, and it was like, all right, cool, it's nothing to get that.
Yeah.
But definitely my circumstances afforded me nothing else to worry about, so I'm thankful for that. But like I said, I still had to make the right choices. Like
Exactly.
I've definitely been in positions where it could have went left, it could have been right.
Exactly.
So I was watching this video early, and it was like, in life you make a whole lot of left turns and a whole lot of right turns.
Yeah.
You never know how those turns are going to turn out, so that's why
You never know what's around that corner.
Like, I do think I'm an exceptional human being, but I'm also, and like I said, I just think I have the favor of God. I'm covered. Like, I'm on a mission.
And it's
so yeah.
I'm glad you say that, because like when you know that you're covered,
Yeah.
you still have to do the right thing.
Right.
But it's also like I'm covered.
Right. You gotta do
Right.
your part.
Exactly.
It's like if you do your part, and you don't have to be perfect.
Right.
But as long as
You
you
do your
are
part.
at least doing your part,
You always
I
gonna be
already
great.
know. So like
Yeah.
for me, it's just like I don't worry.
Yeah.
Be as an entrepreneur, it's not easy.
Right.
So so I have an engineering degree.
Yeah,
Right.
from
So I
North
could have
Carolina
easily,
A&T, right?
North Carolina A&T.
Shout out to
Shout out to the HBCUs, Aggie
Shout out to
Pride.
HBCUs.
Yeah. So I easily could have just been working in engineering. Easy 6 figures.
Right.
My wife, has an accounting degree. She was with one of the big 4 firms.
Yeah.
She could easily
From
be doing that.
Howard University.
Howard University. So we could easily be in our corporate careers,
Right.
making bank. So this is definitely, entrepreneurship is, for us, not about money, right? But for me, it was about freedom.
Freedom.
So freedom. And granted, you can make a lot of money as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
We do well. And this is Sydney Sweets is just one of the businesses that I have. I'm a true entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So so really
It never
just,
stops.
the 9 to 5 just wasn't for me.
Right.
I can't work robotically. I can't answer mundane tasks. I don't want to show up at 8:00 in the morning.
wanna show
It's
up
not for me. So just like our business, we're very non-traditional. We 12 to 6.
Okay.
Most people expect bakeries. You work
Right.
first thing in the morning.
Right.
Grind down. I was like, I left
Right.
corporate because I don't want to do mornings.
Yeah.
So we're afternoon bakery.
Yeah.
So
How you want to organization?
I probably was going more towards the passion project for real.
Yeah. So the last draw was I was actually at a nonprofit. I was managing a program, creating a mentoring for at youth risk and foster care. And You know, I'm like, listen, I'm not chasing the money. Like, I'm like, I want to just do something I know is going to be good.
Right.
And even that, like, they actually came after me. I was at another organization, and they said, hey, we want you to come over here. And it was just some politics that happened. Nothing I did wrong or anything like that.
Right.
But my wife was 7 months pregnant, and they ended up firing me.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm like, yeah, you know, like y'all know my situation,
went
whatever it
chase-
was. It'd be different if I was like screwing
Yeah.
up and just
Yeah.
doing something was like, yo, you violated policy, we gotta let you go. It was just like, yo, come upstairs.
And they came
like,
after you for the job.
Exactly. They came after me. I wasn't searching for a job. I was happy where I was at. They came, and yeah, they fired me. My wife was 7 months pregnant.
Damn.
And you know, I sat home like. Actually, low key, I like fake with the work for a few days, like you know, because I had to get my mom right. I ain't tell her. I'm like, yeah, you know, this, I'm about to have my son, and I was just like, yo, you know what? Like, I was like, yo, I could never put my livelihood in the hands of another person ever again. And we had the Sydney Suites. We were operating out of the house for about 7 years at this time.
Wow.
So you know, it was the side hustle. You know, everybody's got going, whatever it was, but it was actually. We had a buzz, you know, 7 years, you know, so a lot of times, you know, people give 1 or 2 years into a business, I didn't pop.
Right.
I can't replace my 9 to 5 income.
Right.
Nah, I'm gonna just leave it alone. We weren't killing it. We were making a little chump change, like enough, but we would just reinvest all of the money.
Exactly.
And we would do, only time we would spend the money, one dinner every year, we would go out and just ball out.
Yeah.
And just like, yo, this was, you know, so we would just whatever you want. That's one time, but every other dollar we made, we just reinvested in the business.
Yeah.
So this was so at this point, your wife is Sydney.
My wife is Sydney. Yes.
She's 7 months pregnant.
7 months pregnant. She's working full time. We still doing the side business.
And how long you guys together at this point?
We were married at this time for 5 years now.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we were married for 5 years.
This is your first child.
This is our first child,
Gotcha.
only child. So yeah, so he
Was it always like was she always bought into the idea of you guys?
I mean, it's, you know, like, so when you're at that stage in infancy in your business, it's always a dream, like, oh, I'm gonna open up a shop, and it was like, it sounded good, you know, it's like, but you know,
doing it is different.
Like,
I've never done it before.
Yeah. How was it for you convincing your wife that this is gonna work?
It wasn't even this. So I'm a leader in my household.
Okay.
If I say this, is what we about to do, this is what we about to do.
Yeah.
But I'm also going to do it.
Right.
Yeah,
And she know when I put my name on it,
Yeah.
and I put my energy on it, she trusts me and she understands this is what's about to happen.
Yeah.
So now, excuse me. By no means was this an easy task.
Right.
This is my first time opening up a store. I've had many businesses, but this is real. Opening up a store is real. So,
right. So okay, cool. So you guys, you said the storefront's been open for 13 years.
13
but you guys were in business 7 years prior.
Yeah.
So you guys have been 20
yeah,
years.
20 years, man.
That's
so
fire.
Yeah.
And like, I kind of want to touch upon, because I know that Sydney, she grew up like baking with her mom.
Right.
So this was like kind of her passion. So I kind of wanted to like touch upon what is how important is it to keep your passion in your day to day?
You know what? So I have an interesting theory on that. You know, I like to. There's two things to do. So I like to say, if you are afforded the opportunity to make money doing your passion, like as the art, great, right?
Right.
Though for me, I like to say I bring passion into everything that I do. You know, I'm a passionate person.
Right.
You know, so people are my passion.
Okay.
So personally, I can bring that into anything. You know, so you know, my business, we sell cakes, but that's not the business. Our business is people.
Yeah.
You know, so we're celebrating people's special moments. You know, when you come to me and you're coming to get married, you know, you're not thinking about cake or you're not thinking about balloons or flowers. You're like, this is a part of it. This is your special moment between two people. We're celebrating someone's child's first birthday.
Yeah.
You don't get that back.
Facts.
You know, so we're managing people. We're bringing people's dreams come true.
Yeah.
So I bring that passion in, but you know, so I think especially now, young people, they're like, oh, I'm passionate about this. This is what I need to be doing, right? But what if you had a business that made you so much money, you could just do your passion and didn't have to worry about it? Because a lot of times what people don't realize, when you put a price tag on your passion,
Right.
that could deflate you.
Diminishes it, yeah.
Yeah, you know, so now you now have to have someone else validate you
Right.
if they decide to buy it or not. So it kind of changes it. Not everybody's built for that, right? So I think about like the oil tycoons, right? These billionaire oil families. You think they passionate about oil?
Nah.
No. Who could be passionate about oil, right?
Exactly.
But this affords them the opportunity and freedom to do anything they want to do.
Anything that they're passionate about.
Anything they're
gotta buy
passionate
back your
about.
time.
You know, so these dudes could be the worst basketball player in the world.
Yeah.
But with the
Right,
right amount of movement of money, they
yeah.
might get in the NBA.
Right.
You know, they might not play, but they gonna sit on the bench. If they really wanted to listen. Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Or one of their kids gonna be in it, or whatever it is, right? So I think sometimes people get too caught up in passion and miss out on opportunities that can afford them.
Interesting take.
Yeah, so that's me, right? You know, so I found a way.
Too caught up in passion.
Too caught up. I mean, in having their passion be the way that they fund their lives.
So how do you? But okay, so boom. How do you say that though? If you were starting to go into your passions as like a way of sustaining life until you could get it to be more profitable.
I mean, so I would say it is a dream if you can do it. Right. Don't let that be the roadblock to you getting everything that you need. You know, and the reality is we live in a capitalist society, right? You know, well, you can do whatever you want to do. Yeah. But I would offer.
Don't be ignorant.
Yeah, don't be ignorant, and also don't allow that. Like, you know, like, listen, if you love to sing, if you love to write, if you love to draw, do that.
Right.
You know, that doesn't mean that you can't have a job.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you can't make money in another way.
Yeah, no,
so don't be blinded by this new way that people say, oh, the only right way is to make money by monetizing passion.
Nah, I agree with that.
That's a realistic approach.
Yeah, because I would think of like a chef. Like I know like certain people, they're chefs, they know how to cook, right? But they don't want to cook for people. Like they don't want to get paid for cooking because they might have been at a restaurant, like you said, like they got overworked, and now that passion.
Cooking for 3 people is way different than doing 100 covers in a night or catering. Right. It changes. Like I tell people when they come in and they apply for jobs, I say, this ain't making cupcakes in your mom's kitchen. We're doing volume. We're doing volume, and there's no time for you to mess up and redo it. Yeah. Like we have, this person's wedding starts at 6 p.m. Right. We have to be there early. Yeah. You know, so this is not a feeling and, you know, the joy when you get to take 7, you know, because like the home bakers, it takes them 7 hours to do one cake. I'm like, you got 30 minutes. Right. You know, like we have 40 cakes due this weekend. Yeah, that's crazy. You can't take your time.
And that's the difference between it being like a passion and it being real.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can relate to that because I remember being in college.
That's crazy.
Like right now, I'm a barber. Like I own my business, RhythmintheJuice LLC. You guys can pull up, find me, 710 Franklin Square.
Fresh cuts.
You know what I'm saying? Got my boy Yattaracks direct today.
Dr. Freshie.
So I'm saying 710 Franklin Square, New York. Pull up on me, RhythmintheJuice LLC. Find me Sweet 108. But I remember being in college, going to school, cutting hair, but I had to work in the library. Right. I like to cut hair, and I wanted to do it as me expressing my passion while getting some bread from it, so I don't have to ask mom dukes. But I know at the same time, I still got bills that I gotta take care of, that I gotta pay for myself, and I'm never too cool to make $1.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I know what I really want to do, but I also know what I have to do. Right. And sometimes you separate the two things. Sometimes you gotta bring them together. Like I bet. I gotta work from this time to this time, but after that, I'm free to cut hair. You know what I'm saying? I'm young. I'm gonna use my youthfulness. I'm up 20 hours today.
Right, absolutely. And what are you willing to sacrifice, right? What are you willing to sacrifice? So we sacrificed our weekends in our 20s, right? So we had 9 to 5s. So our nights, and so while people were doing the brunches and all of that thing. So we were doing cakes because
I was making y'all fresh for brunch.
Right, he was
making the cakes for y'all
exactly. So we were missing.
I'm making the juice.
You missing out on the things that your peers are doing.
Yeah.
So some people would choose to sacrifice the thing that they like. At the end of the day, we got to make bread. If you don't come from money, you got to make bread, right?
You gotta make bread.
So some people who are in their passion sacrifice work and are all in the passion and then hanging out and outside. Like I had to sacrifice some outside. One thing I love about my life is when I look back is I can say I did it all, right?
Yeah.
You know, like I could probably
I seen it reminiscent.
Yeah, I could be making more money now, and I could have made a lot more money, but I didn't miss out. I have no regrets. I have no regrets. I did get to travel. I did get to hang out with friends. I started a business. I'm a husband. I'm a father. Yeah. Like you know how a lot of successful people don't have the family lifestyle. Like you know their family is grateful for the money, but they don't have that connection. So there's nothing that's missing from my life. My relationship with my friends is rich. Yeah. You know my family. So that's one thing I'm proud of is that I found a balance, and so my sacrifice never negated anything, but I definitely prioritized.
Yeah,
I definitely prioritized.
I think it's amazing. Like ultimately, like you said, like you know, as a businessman, you should want like a queen behind you. You should want 100%. that companionship.
Yeah, and like this won't work for everybody, but my wife is my business partner, and it works for us because we have complements and skill sets. So she's an artist, right? And I'm an entrepreneur. Yeah. So I give her the space to focus on being an artist, and I get to run the business. Yeah. So partnership is so important, right? Everybody wants to be the boss and the only soul, whatever it is. But you know, there are some artists who are great business-minded folks, but most artists are not. Let's keep it real, right? So you know, the fact that she doesn't have to worry, like she sometimes is afraid, or I won't say afraid, but she doesn't always lead with wanting to charge her work, you know, because she wants to do the work. She doesn't, you know, so asking, there's a true artist, right? Yeah. And I'm like, the price is the price. Yeah. You know, like this is what it is. Like we either getting paid this or I'm going to take my free time. There's no in between, you know, and she's amazing too, right? Yeah. So I get to come from the outside. And I've never sold my artistry. So maybe I don't understand what that feels like, but I'm not in my emotion about it. Right. I get to operate from my business mindset. So we make a great team, and I love it as a husband and wife because all of the money goes to one pot. Yeah. You know, so it's not like when you got a partnership and it's two different people, which is nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Because I have other partnerships that are not my wife, but we both are given the same level of effort because we know it comes back. Yeah, and to one collective. Right. So I know what she does helps me. She know what I does help her. So it's never combative. We know we working towards the same goal.
That's dope. That's real dope. It's like it's kind of just like having like the star player and you being the coach. Exactly. You got the best player in the league. Yeah. All you gotta do is just coach him to victory. Yeah, yeah. And you guys help each other in the same way.
That's it, man. So it's beautiful. Right. I definitely recommend. And like I said, it is intense. Because you know, like sometimes it's that, you know, you bring work home or you bring something that happened at home to work and you know what it gets. But honestly, I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade it.
That's part of the process. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm pretty sure all those hard days translate to beautiful days.
100%. And so also like we are also beautiful from my family. So we call the bakery. And my son twins. Remember, my wife was 7 months pregnant. So by the time we opened the store, he was just born. Yeah. So he's grown. All he knows for us is the store. Yeah. And so you know, so his dream is to take it over, and he can do that if he wants to. He doesn't have to. Yeah. But it's available if that's what he wants to do. Yeah. Cameron, right? Yeah, Cameron.
Yeah. I met Cameron today. He was here. Cool dude, man.
Yeah, man.
He's very vibrant soul.
Yeah.
So he's 13.
He's 12. He just turned 12. Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So Yeah,
I definitely seen him on the ads too. I was telling him like,
yeah,
I see him on
he's
some of his
definitely.
ad. He be,
You see, he
showcasing some of the
said, how
flavors.
come I can't be on the podcast?
Yeah, that's what he
Like,
said.
listen,
He said, Dad, why you tell me I got a
so
podcast?
anytime if we do something and like we say the two of us, he's like, what you mean the two? It's the three.
Yeah.
Like he understands that this is a family business.
Yeah.
So he works here. He works on Sundays.
That's dope.
He works. He
told me
works
that
the cash
too.
register. Like
I be
like listen, the whole family got to put in the work. Absolutely.
Nah,
you know, so we grew up in Queens, and how many kids you saw in the Chinese restaurant doing something? Either they do their homework or they was at the register or something.
Or
like
even
they
the
were
kids
in there
sweeping up in the barbershop.
Like listen,
Right.
but not just as a job, but like your family. You're contributing to the family. So I think it's really beautiful that he got to grow up and see that, understand that the hard work is a part, you know, that it affords the luxuries that we have in life.
Right.
So I'm really proud that we're creating that for him.
Yeah. And like here on our platform, what they don't want to hear, like our mission is to push the culture forward.
Right.
And the way we do that is trying to like, you know, I'll be 26 next month.
Right.
Reef just turned 26. It's like we trying to like push a better narrative to the people, like the younger generation.
Yeah.
So like even like you doing that for your son, you're pushing the generation forward because now your son sees a tangible like, dang, my parents have a business.
Yeah.
So he's not necessarily thinking about how I get to 9 to 5. He's thinking about, damn, I might own this business, or he might have his own business idea.
100%. So
so like my parents are happy.
Yeah, 100%.
Facts, that too.
So my son, you know, so we're college graduates though. I'm open. Like I realize that, especially with technology and AI, you know, college is not the end all be all, right?
Yeah.
So if that's, I do think that college does give a life experience that is super valuable. So I do think that college is great, though there are other alternatives. So if my son wants to go to college, we have finances for that. If he wants to start a business, I'm going to invest in his business. If he wants to travel and figure it out for a little bit, like you got to be up to something. But whatever he creates a vision for his life, I'm going to support and make sure he has the resources. You know, if he doesn't quite know yet, we're going to make some phone calls and we're going to get you some internships. Right. So, you know, we can put you in position. But, you know, so I love with y'all's generation, you know, y'all are like, nah, we not gonna be locked up and you know working and slaving or whatever it is. Though it is important, you know. I love the freedom aspect that the younger generation is having, but I challenge your generation to think about how does that look like when I'm 55 or 60, right? So I think a lot of times this generation is forgetting about like, you got to retire, right? So you got to put these nest eggs in early so that retirement is possible. And we don't know what's going to happen with Social Security. So if you are, you know, living free and throwing away your 20s and you don't start taking life serious up until 40 when you realize that you know, that YOLO life just don't cut it, you know, like, so what's going to happen, right? So, you know, like I'm on a, exactly. So I'm on a trajectory to retire by 50, right? So, you know, so I'm looking at, I put the grind in early and, you know, like for those who don't know, I know 20-year-olds think they lit, but 40 and 50 for a man is lit. That's when you're in your prime. You got the knowledge, you got the financial resources, you got the life experiences. So at 50, I'll be out of my day-to-day activity. I'll be able to travel the world. You know, I'm building a house in the Dominican Republic right now. You know, so if I want to live there, I'll be living there. So, you know, so just but that is from the dedication that I put in my 20s, putting in that work. So, you know, I love the fact that, you know, people say, nah, we're not going to be slaves for a corporation that doesn't appreciate us. Though, if you want to live in America, you got to understand the almighty dollar is the king. You know, so get it how you get it. Don't feel like you have to get it in that systematic way, but it's important.
So in these years of growing up in the middle class environment, going to college, working using your engineering knowledge, and now owning your own bakery and other businesses. What's the most important thing you learned about money along the way?
The most important thing that I learned about money is so my theory is I don't spend earned income. That I know I was talking about. So, you know, and again, it takes a while to get to that, but first you got to get to it in your mind, right? So right now I only spend cash flow and money that comes from not my actual labor, right? So, and otherwise, you know, if you're working about an hour, or you're getting paid a salary, whatever it is, you got to somehow figure out a way to reduce your spending so that you can save enough so you can get your money working for you. Right. So in our communities, we're not taught that. You know, we're taught you work and you get money and that's how you live, right? So your money has to be working for you. Yeah. You know, put your money on a strip. You know, I like to say, yo, my money is my hoe. You know, so I'm gonna pimp it out until it gets me all the money that I can get out of it. You know, so just put your money on the strip. You know, so we cannot. So for the generation, I understand they don't want to trade hours for dollars. Yeah. So you've got to put yourself in position to be able to get some money. So it might take some sacrifice. You know, so if you have a skill, you know, you put it in. And so I'm not that. So it took that mindset. I did make some really great early decisions. And again, it's just like in the stock market. You know, the longer your money is in 10 years is when you'll start to see how that really creates the snowball. Patience, the patience in. So, but it's a long game. So, but you got to put the time in. You can't start like, okay, I got my mind right today. I'm gonna start today. It's going to be 5-10 years from that point that you decide to start doing right, that you actually see the results, right? So the sooner you decide, like I'm gonna get to it, the sooner the results come. Right.
Start today.
Start today. Today is the day. Today is the day.
Like my little
now
brother.
Is the time.
My little brother, he wants to start. He wants to start designing like tables, but like make them like cool tables. So like he'll do something with like your logo on it, right. And make it like a cool wooden table, different compartments, and like that. He has like certain tools, but he don't got everything. Right. But I'm like, yo, bro, you got what you need to start what you can make
one table.
And this is the thing, right? So a lot of creatives and entrepreneurs, or just anything, like they want to be perfect.
They want to get it perfect.
They want to put the first. Like, listen, if you see some of my cakes from 2008, I would be ashamed of them. You know, like, so, but now in 2022, my wife is a Food Network champion. Yeah. You know,
I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah,
Food Network spring
absolutely. Spring Baking Championship, Easter.
How was that?
So it was an amazing experience, you know, so we get reached out to by, you know, TV networks all the time, and the timing just doesn't always work out. So, you know, because we run this business. We run. So you really if you film, y'all see the work that goes behind filming. It could be a week. Yeah. It could whatever, but you're on set. You know, you can't work, and especially this was during COVID, so she had to be locked in. She had to be quarantined, so she couldn't come back and forth to the bakery. So we're booked out in advance. So when they, you know, TV time, they call you. They say, hey, we're shooting a show in 2 weeks. Or they'll cast you. They won't tell you when it starts, and then they'll be like, okay, it's up in 2 weeks, and our calendar is booked out 3 months in advance. Wow. So we can't just say, oh, Sydney's gonna go away for a week, like, because we already scheduled. Like we got, you know, so we got money in the books, and you know, our priority and our dedication is to our clients. Right. You know, so we can't just tell. You know, we get so many calls like, oh, my baker canceled on me. And I'm like, that's messed up, right? Sucks. So
Baker, what y'all doing out there?
I mean, and there's a lot of businesses do that, but I don't want to just throw it. Baker.
I feel like that's like a catering.
But it's not. But yeah, it's not. But it's not cool. So we take your money. You have our commitment that you're gonna get that product. Right. I don't care if I gotta miss my family celebration, whatever it is. If I gotta work nonstop, no sleep. I'm committed to making sure my clients get what they paid for. And what I promised them I would give them when they gave me their money. Yeah. So
that's the vibe I feel, man. That's why these cakes is so good, because they're making it with a purpose. They're making it with a passion. They want every slice to hit.
100%. If I taste something and don't taste right, we're making it over. Exactly. You know, I don't care if we wasting money. Nah, like this, because you look at it as wasting money. Like, let me try to cut corners. But you got one chance, especially in our community. You got one chance to mess up. That's it. One
That's
chance.
it.
And they throwing you under the bus and they telling everybody they know.
And
So,
the bus driver
yeah, you know, so.
And you did good 8 times in a row.
Yeah, and they gonna put it on Google, Yelp, whatever, you know, so it becomes a magnifier. So, so that's, like I said, but that's my passion I bring in, you know, so it's not that I'm working, and I guess, like I said, I'm bringing passion into it versus I'm worrying about doing something I'm passionate about.
And hearing you speak, it's a lot of like I can really feel the theme in that.
Right.
Is the theme is like the theme is like it's real business, but it's more so like you don't want to be a robot for somebody else, but you 100% comfortable being a robot for yourself.
Absolutely.
It's more so like I bet I have the passion is already in front of us.
Right.
We know that's in the back burner, that's in the back of my mind.
Right.
But I know this has to get done by any means necessary.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like that's what makes your business successful, because you know you have to make money, but you're not trying to make money. You're trying to do the necessary things that attract money, and the money just attracts.
Exactly. I'm definitely not chasing. Like I don't wake up and think money chasing me.
Hey, take
I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm not even gonna lie. Like we are blessed, and I do my, like I said, I do my part.
Do you do diligence?
I do my part, but like I said, this is you know, so essentially
you can't get apples from a mango tree.
That's that, and essentially, I want to be in a position where my family, like I no longer have to worry about finances for my family, so that I can now dedicate my time to pouring into others.
Or like
you know?
so
exactly. So Cam is good, his kid's good. So now I can go support somebody else's vision and tell them, you know, fill in their gaps of where they're not winning. I can go tour and speak and do whatever. Write the book that I know, all the knowledge that I've gained to help someone else. And take the time and sit on podcasts for Brothers Yard that's ahead of it. Well, that's a great. So it would definitely center around. So this is not the title, but you know something around
not official title.
Not official title, but being fired from my job was the best thing that ever happened to me.
That's a good title.
You know, so definitely being in a position. And this is everything in life, right? Yeah. So seeing the opportunity inside of chaos, right?
I wish my job fired me sooner.
Yeah, so like real, like, you know, like I think like honestly, because especially when you're making good money, like a lot of times everybody say I'm gonna quit my job and go full time on a thing, but it's hard to walk away from money. It's hard to walk away from guaranteed money.
Yeah, bro.
It is very difficult. So. And not everybody talk that game around. So that's why I like to be transparent. Like people are like, oh, yo, you left your job, and I'd be like, well, actually, I got fired. You know, so like now granted, I could have ran back and went to go get another job. So, but God spoke to me the way that I listened. Yeah. You know, and He knew that I had to hate the thought of a job so much that I was gonna go do the harder thing. That was really the thing that was gonna change, you know, many people's lives. And you know, I'm not just changing my life and my family's lives. I have full-time employees. I'm changing their lives. That's fine. You know,
you're helping.
You know, I'm doing that. I'm hiring the people that may not have opportunity. Yeah. You know, I get people in here and come in. Like I said, my business is people. You know, people will come in here and buy a $4 cupcake and talk to me for an hour. Like I know things about people's lives that they family may not know. Like you know, so I just know like
that's how good the cake is.
Yeah, you know, so this is bigger than this is bigger than cake. This is bigger this is like I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah, I think it goes back to like you said, your passion is people. Right. People is in every business. Exactly. Every business revolves around people. So
exactly.
If you can, I think that's like one of my skills as well. I'm able to connect to people. Right. I can walk into the room. I can talk to anybody. Right. And like once you have that skill, once that's your passion, like you just wanna. I just like you said, if somebody comes to the store, you want them to leave with a smile. Right. You want them to leave with what they.
100%. Right. So, but I also the thing inside of that is, you know, I also had to be humble enough. You know, because like the name on the store is Sydney. That's my wife's name. Yeah. You know, so there are some men who would not be able to quote unquote walk in the shadow. You know, like so like people. You know, so like I even have some people to be like, oh, you know, so also Jermaine. So what do you do? You know, so like your wife has a bakery, and it's like, so what do you do? And it's like, you know, my wife, you know, she'll say like, listen, not to say that she's not talented,
Yeah.
but we wouldn't be like I took this vision and grew it to where it was gonna go.
Right.
It's
Now,
teamwork.
granted,
Teamwork make the dream
teamwork,
work.
and so I was able to say, yo, baby, you got a talent.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put my energy behind you,
Right.
to help you pursue this thing that you love,
Yeah.
right? So, but so that's one thing. Like, we gotta say, like, listen, it's not all about me. It's not all about her. It's funny. Some people think I'm Sydney.
Yeah,
because I show so much as the face, and I'm glad it's not Rebecca or Jessica, like some crazy name. I could get away with Sydney, right? Exactly. I could really be a Sydney. So she's actually named after her uncle. I'm glad that it's that, but yeah, like we taking ego out of it. And what's the vision? We both share a vision for where we want our lives to be, how we want our families' lives to be. So I'm glad that there's no ego in our relationship. And I was able to come in and do what I do. She was able to come in and bring what she brought to the table. And then we have this thing of beauty.
I would say you guys do an amazing job. I would kind of like compare it to like a music artist,
right?
Because like sometimes the music artists, they just want to create the art.
Yeah,
they don't necessarily want to build the business or do the brand. So it's kind of like the pairing of a good music artist with a great manager or a great team around them.
Absolutely.
And you just let the artist soar and just you focus on creating. We're gonna get everything else in place for you. So
100%,
I think that's kind of like what it sounds like. And I also wanted to speak about, like, as we were speaking about our generation and social media and all this stuff, like, how do you feel about like the food content creators? Do you guys get them often? They'll come in, make their reels and stuff like that?
Yeah, so we've had our wave with the food content creators.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing, right? So much love. Like, listen, they here, and there's not going to change about that, right? So
you gotta integrate.
I think that there should be a conversation, right? So listen, I'm not going to tell nobody how to run their hustle, right? So so I think that there's a win and win for everybody, but sometimes I see some creators that I think got to have the mindset, and some creators that are like, that I don't agree with. So in my theory, and I'm an outsider, so because I'm not a food creator, it's like you use the time, like like y'all are coming out here and y'all putting in the effort to shoot this podcast,
right?
And when you get enough views, you get sponsors.
Right.
You get, some people are gonna say, "Hey, I want to pay you so you can talk about this, whatever it is." So in my eye, food creators, like, you use good products like mine, and then you work your way up to getting sponsored by Popeyes or sponsored by these big name things like that.
Right.
But if you're chasing after, so some food creators are chasing after trying to get the big check from the small businesses, and one time small businesses don't have marketing budgets, right?
Exactly.
So when you get that, and if I finally say yes, and if I don't see the results, now it's a wrap. Like, now I never invest in another content creators, because I got burnt, right? Yeah, I had a bad experience. So I think that there's ways that they can collaborate. I don't think that necessarily they should all not get compensated. Like, there's levels, but there has to be some type of a business. For every time a business owner spends money, they want to see return on that, right? Exactly. So you either have to. You can't just say I shot content. I'm not asking you to shoot content. I'm asking you to bring in customers, right? So maybe if you give me content that I can keep, that I can continue to use. Yeah. Now, so I do know a young lady, Lisa manages everything. Shout out to her. Like, she's talking about ways that.
I kind of agree with that. It's like, don't try to head crack the smaller business. It's like, it got to be some type of collaboration so we can all eat. It's like, we have to bring value to every situation, because if you don't bring value to the situation, you're devaluing the situation. Right. So if you're just pulling up to the small businesses who may not have that much like clout, know what I'm saying, and then you want to like leverage that,
Right.
being in a new generation. They're like, hey,
Right.
you need a social media
Right.
presence.
Right,
You
right,
need
right.
to do this
Right.
and the third.
Yeah.
But you're not really worried about actually bringing them customers. You're more so worried about catching a quick
Catching a lick. Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm saying, a quick
Exactly.
bag out of a
Right.
business.
Yeah.
And for you to look cool and for your followers to be like, oh, they did a commercial with the business. Like, nah, bro. It's like actually help give, you know what I'm saying, get them customers.
Yeah.
Right.
Send it to 10 of your friends and have them pull up after you make the video.
Right. Or come with your friends.
And see it along. So I think there's a conversation that needs to be had.
It's not a conversation.
I think, obviously, I'm probably speaking from the business point of view, and I know probably they may see a difference. Some things I'm sure they could, educate. So I do think, they deserve to get compensated. I think in my mind, the game is build your value so high that the people with the real bags are gonna come chasing after you.
Exactly.
And that's how I see.
Right.
That's how I
That's
see
life.
the game. They, and maybe some of them don't see it,
Right.
but I also see the difference in the ones who are blowing up versus the ones who fighting for the scraps.
Right.
I've been getting
so-
back to that heavy lately. I feel like during COVID, especially when a lot of barbershops was closed,
Right.
a lot of people were scared to cut hair.
Right.
I was cutting out the crib, out the front room,
100%.
and
That's what I remember.
you feel me?
Right.
Exactly out the front room,
Right.
and it's like I just had to lock in, pour in for real. Damn.
Yeah, it was a scary time. It was a scary time.
It was a scary time.
And that's why I always I put that like on the resume. I was like, yeah, I'm a first generation entrepreneur. I'm in New York and I made it through COVID.
That shit gonna
I'm
make
like,
you a break.
COVID was real. So I learned so much about myself. And like COVID truly, like it transformed just my confidence in myself.
Because you get to work and it's like repetition. It's like during COVID, I was doing so many haircuts that I was getting nicer. I was actually sending people outside looking fresh when no one can even get a haircut.
Right.
So it's like, yo,
where you get that come from?
You mad sharp, man.
Yeah.
I didn't get a cut in 5 months.
Right.
You have to be creative around how you did it, right?
You feel
So
me?
yeah,
So it's like in that time, I feel like I was making like in that short period of time of me cutting out in the crib, being there for the summer before I went back to college. It was like things were happening so fast, money was coming in so fast because I wasn't even thinking about making money.
Right.
I was just more so excited to be cutting so much hair, working on my craft so much, coming from being in college cutting hair for real, being in the dorms, maybe having like
It's funny.
7 people on a busy day, to now having 18 people on a packed day.
Yeah.
I can have $1,000 haircut day for real.
That's real.
Just the other day, we was at Talik's event, and somebody was like, "You think Reef? You went to Cortland?" And they remembered him because he knew he was cutting hair.
Dope.
So like that was cool to see too, just to see like my brother getting recognition from years and years ago. So
Absolutely.
stuff like that's cool. But like also too, I wanted to piggyback off of like added value.
Added value.
I'm very big on just adding value to any situation that
You're
you're
not adding
involved
value. What are you doing?
in. Devalue, but if you can add value in any room or any place, you're always going to be welcome. You're always going to be wanted.
You're gonna be needed.
Yeah, you're gonna be needed. I be trying to like that's like kind of like my little like special thing about me. I try to figure out, like, how can I add value right now, or just try to think out the box and just bring a different something to whatever situation I'm involved in. So like you said, just to I'm needed now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Adding value could be anything, and I feel like
anything, bro.
that's what a lot of people also. We live in such a world where people see so much on the media, see so much on TV that everything is glamorized, but what's actually needed for the glamorization.
Right.
So it's like people literally only see the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
You don't see the work that you gotta put in, the
How
things
much
that you don't
is
want to
there
do.
to support that all happening?
You feel me? So it's
The
like
engine in that truck.
the engine in the truck.
You only see the truck. You don't even know it got this big body Hemi in it. You know.
A lot of people are invaluable simply because they don't know how to get in where they fit in. They want to fit in where they don't get in.
Absolutely.
So it's like once you try to do that, bro, it's like you're the wrong piece to the wrong puzzle.
Right.
You understand?
You gotta get out of there.
Gotta get out of there. So I'm just a firm believer on that.
I just want to touch upon like one more thing, Jermaine. I wanted to know like what are like some similarities between chefs and bakers.
So
similarities and differences.
Yeah,
both sides.
so when I think about that, so actually like so one of my passions is cooking. I actually do love to cook.
Okay.
Right. So baking is a science.
Yeah.
And chefing, I think, is like a what's like an art.
Art.
Yeah. So no, yeah, we make these fun, creative flavors, but we had to master some base recipes in order to get that. And if you mess that up, so cooking is a little forgiving.
Right.
You put a little too much sweet, you put a little salty, or you add some more to it and balance it out. The flavor. But if the measurements of the science part of baking are off, you have a failed cake, right? So there's that exactly. It doesn't rise. It's tough. The texture is different.
That's crazy.
So and it could be something simple, and it's like it could be something easy like mixing up baking soda and baking powder.
Right.
So there's a science to it. So that's definitely you can't just get in there and be like, yo, I'm gonna throw some flour.
Like how you season chicken.
You can't just throw it. You have to measure. Especially on this scale where consistency matters. It's different when your grandma was like, I'm gonna just sprinkle a little bit of this. I know it's gonna taste good, and it may taste a little different, but it's still gonna taste good because it's approximate. But no, one of the things that we pride ourselves on is every single time you get this cake, you're gonna have the same experience.
That's a fact, good.
So
it even look the same every time.
Right,
it's the big boy league.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's the big boy prices, so you gotta give it. This ain't a $5 slice; it's a $12 slice. So I gotta give you. It's like I said. It's people once they get over the fact, they come right back. Like they might complain at the register, go out to the car, and come right back and get another one. Because it's valuable. Like it's like that. So it's that. Another thing I want to touch on is, having multiple streams of income, right? So, this bakery business, so this is a cash business. I got a lot of money coming in, but I'll use that money to fund other things, right? Yeah. So I'm investing in real estate, so I'm a very big real estate entrepreneur. I have properties in different states and different countries. I put together projects, so I do syndications. Where I put together projects and invite other people to invest. So I manage some of those projects. I believe in life insurance. Black people get you some life insurance, IUL or whole life.
My son, what's that?
Index Universal Life.
Okay.
So it's a life insurance. Well, we call it a bank, right? We say life insurance, so that's a death benefit. But nobody talks about the living benefit. So these life policies have living benefits. So, anytime I put this money in this account, if I want to access it, I could borrow against it, but it's still protected by the death benefit. Yeah. So I have a limited access. Like when I wanted to invest in one of my real estate projects, I had cash value inside of my life insurance policy. Wow. So I'm always protected. If something happens to me, my family's protected by the death benefit. Yeah. But I can still use that cash during the time I'm alive to invest in cash flowing assets. Not buying clothes and cars that are not. You take this money out only to put it somewhere that's going to make you enough money to pay back the principal and the interest, but also put money in your pocket. Right. So that's the only time you pull out. In emergencies as well, but if you really want to play the game correctly, you pull it out for a cash flowing asset vehicle. So it could be stocks. If stocks is your game, I do a little bit of stocks, but stocks is not my forte. Okay. But in the IUL, you play in the index. You're indexing off the S&P 500. So I get the gains. But what I love about the Index Universal Life is the floor is zero. Okay. So you never lose your principal. Okay. You can have a year where you don't make any money, right? But you never have a negative year. Yeah.
So your life insurance is basically just investing into an index.
It's investing into an index. But listen, man. So what would the Rockefellers do is the book that changed my life. And it's just it tells you how the Rockefellers use whole life insurance to build and keep their families' legacy. What would the Rockefellers do? I'll send it to you. So it's like the actual book. I have the book on PDF. But yeah, it just changed my mindset. And these are just things that if you don't come from a wealthy family, you won't never know.
Like a real self-credit card.
Yeah, absolutely. So
we created platforms like this, so we could have a Jermaine come on and just drop some gems, and you never know who's viewing this and who needed to hear exactly what you're saying at that point in their life. Yeah, but I ain't gonna lie, like you're a tremendous man, bro. Like,
for real, bro.
Thank you.
Salute to you for real, man. Like, I like what you have built here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yo, y'all gotta check out Sydney Sweets. They got cakes, they got cupcakes, they got cake jars, they do wedding cakes, they do birthday cakes, they do anything you need with cakes.
Yes.
Gotta get in
and we started by putting out a subpar product. Put it out today.
Right.
Whatever you creating, I know you don't think it's as good as that competitor or your friend that's doing something. It doesn't matter. Start with that post. And the strawberry crunch cheesecake is crazy.
Right here, you know what I'm saying? What else we got over here?
That's our cake and cocktails, mango.
It's the
mango daiquiri.
Mango daiquiri cake. You never had this before.
Show them that red velvet jar.
The red velvet cake jar?
Yeah, it's that red velvet.
It's that red velvet cake jar. You see the layers? Come on, man. Then we got
and then the sweet potato swirl.
This is the sweet potato. This guy right here.
That's fire.
This is the one you need right here.
It's different.
Sydney Sweets, West Hempstead, New York, man.
Yeah, man. But shout out to y'all for, like you said, for taking the time, investing your time and resources for your vision, and having a platform where someone can learn something and hear the conversations that they might not be having. So salute to y'all, and I just hope if a few people, our goal is 100,000 for the episode.
Right.
So share this with somebody. Share this with somebody.
Why you need to see this?
Yeah. But hopefully it touched your life, and hopefully if it touched your life, you'll share with somebody that means something to you.
All right, before we get out of here, too, I want to ask you, like, what would you tell 15-year-old Jermaine right now?
Man, I had a full-time job, man.
Yeah, I did have one. Yeah, word. I would
crazy, bro.
Honestly, I would tell.
Like really look at 15 years Jermaine, like hairstyle, fit, the favorite fit that you had from that era,
right? And
really think about what you was going through at that time. Like, what would you tell yourself? Like, what would be your advice, words of encouragement, or just just a statement that you would want to say to yourself?
I would say reassurance that everything is going to be all right, and also just be confident in your skill set and abilities. I think a lot of times I knew what was special about me, and obviously, in my generation it was college, and I was a smart kid, I did well in school. I went to college on a full scholarship, so I did well in school. But
with the full-time job.
Yeah, exactly, right? So,
you Asian?
No, everybody think I ain't shot. I'm not Asian though. But I knew my skill sets. I knew I was a hustler. I knew I had the gift of gab. I knew I had the I knew these things about myself. But
you're trying to strengthen your weaknesses to keep your strength strong.
Exactly. So if I could have known, I think I definitely could have, I would have harnessed, honed in on those skills. I probably would have made some different moves in college. Yeah. I would have took the opportunity to do like a study abroad, just knowing that the exposure would have helped grow me as a person, knowing that my skill sets are people, had I learned how I had exposed myself to a whole different environment, different language.
Tell younger Jermaine to this is the opportunity. This is the opportunity.
You are exactly who you're supposed to be. You are the guy.
Trust yourself.
Trust yourself, trust your skills. But then also I would tell someone who can relate to that, to tell that to someone else, right? So now the beauty of it all now is I get to do that for my son now, right? So I get to look at, my son and say, my son is bright kid, right?
No,
But he
definitely.
doesn't love school, right? And so sometimes I go with my wife, so it's like the gift because you want to push your kids still to school, even if they don't love it, you still want to push them to try hard. Right. But I'm like, nah, he's gonna be a beast. Yeah. I'm like, yo, or it's the A students, and they're gonna be working for him. Yeah. Because he's gonna be the boss, because he's the guy. Yeah. He's the guy. Like he's so wise. He got interpersonal skills, whatever it is, and I mean, he my son too.
Right.
So you gotta be exactly. So, but it's just like, so I step back and I look, and I'm just like,
give him grace.
Yeah, you know what? I was like, yo, I'm gonna push. So now it's like, okay, we could be pushing sports, things like that. I'm like, yo, let's put.
You gotta just see what he want to do.
Let's see what he want to do. Let's put him in acting class.
I'm not gonna lie.
Let's have him hone his interpersonal skills. Yeah. He's in the gavel club, so he's learning how to debate. It's like the debate club. But at 12, so we're like, I'm saying, okay, what are your strengths? Like, let me lean into those.
You see some of that in all the episodes, like, we don't give our kids real activities. Yeah, we just give them Jordan 4s and they go crazy.
So always like, oh no, you're gonna go to the league or whatever it is. Like we pushing like,
give me options.
Yeah, he like
that's crazy. Acting classes as a kid,
that's cool. Like growing up, I was extremely smart. Like I was always in honors classes. I was in AP classes in high school. Yep. In college, I was Dean's List student. Yep. But I never liked school. I never liked it. Yeah. Only reason why I got good grades because it was just easy to me. It was like not easy to the point where like, it's more so like I know how to understand problems, but not to problem solve. Right. So just shit. The advice I would give to you for Cameron is to more so just. I feel like just give him the different incentive. Right. But like, yo, I'm not telling you to go to school because it's the best thing in the world, but just like excel at it. Don't do anything unless you're gonna excel at it for real. I feel like you tell him like that. It's like, you know what, Dad? I do want to be a leader at everything. School is just another thing for you to be the leader at.
I'm not gonna let. So he incentivized. So I took him to homecoming last year. Yeah. So he saw the vibe on campus, and he now college is at the forefront of his mind. I'm like, yo. But I tell him straight up, like I was like, yo, I got some money to go towards it, but we're not paying the full time. You gotta bring something. You at least gotta get a little 50% or something like that. So you gotta come to the table and you gotta take school serious. Yeah. And if that's what you want to do, that opportunity is there. Hone in. But yeah, I would say, listen, your skills are enough. And lead with that. Don't do what you thought you should have done.
Those you should have done. Do what you know you were supposed to do.
Yeah, do what you know you're supposed to do.
And quick before we got out of here.
Right.
What would 15-year-old Jermaine tell Jermaine now? Word.
You really about to be rich.
Type shit. About to be rich. Type shit like that.
I can't believe it. I never thought about being a millionaire when I was a kid. And to have reached that mark. I'm wealthier than my parents. At 40, so
that's motivation. I'm about to drive past your old hood when I'm going home right now.
Right, so
think about my boy.
Yeah,
he's on these same blocks.
100%. So it's possible. Like I said, it's humble beginnings. No silver spoon. My parents gave, like I said, the wealth they gave was to not have to worry, which is valuable. Right. So I never had to worry about anything.
Right. Underrated blessings.
And not wrong with the silver spoon because Cam's gonna have a silver spoon.
Oh no, yeah.
But then he can turn the silver spoon to gold.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely. But he'll still understand. Like I'm not one of those parents, so now you got to get it from the mud.
And the spoon always gotta get better though. That's what it is.
100%. So he's definitely gonna know work ethic, morals, principles, and hard work.
I mean, he got to. You running a business, so I'm pretty sure he sees it. He works for you, so I'm pretty sure.
100%. But he's gonna do it way smarter. So absolutely.
Nah, man, this is amazing, man. Pleasure to have you, Jermaine. Glad we, like I said, I walked in as a customer.
Right.
We just
never came here. He called me.
And the energy, Yada came in with dope energy. Like immediately it was like, yo, no.
Word. You slicked up.
Yeah.
And we, Fast forward, came into fruition, man. This episode was a good one. Like I said, just thank you again, Jermaine,
No,
for
of course,
popping
of
out on
course.
us. You know what I'm saying? This is another episode of What They Don't Want to Hear. I'm Yattaracks.
I'm Reef Major.
Oh, and I'm Jermaine from Sydney Sweets. Pull up.
Also, tell them where they can find your names and all that stuff.
Yeah, of course. So on Instagram, it's Sydney's SYDNEYS_sweets. So Sydney's _sweets. If you want to connect with me directly, you know, I talk a lot of real estate, personal motivation, and wealth on my personal page. Last name Freedom. Last name Freedom. So that's it.
Name Freedom. Yo,
Yeah.
come get these cakes, you heard? But we out of here.
These gems.
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
Oh, that was great. I gotta tap in with you, man.
Yeah,
Facts, no cap though.
Absolutely.